opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave, from LA, coming to you live from FEMA region number 6. It is a Thursday, and it is Super Wise Thursday today. So we have a live show for you all today. Sorry about yesterday. Brother Davis was caught, doing things, and he wasn't able to get reception because of where he was. And that happens in large parts of this country. And I was caught, and I couldn't get to back to the show. So we apologize for missing yesterday. But we're going to have a live show for you today, as we hope to bring you, as always, the best that we possibly can do. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So I want to just say to you, thank you all for listening and enduring and going through things with us. We greatly appreciate you. And we want to continue to doing what we're doing. And that is, actually having a Thando Radio Show and all the other shows that are brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network always on the air. And the way that can happen is by us supporting Black Talk Radio Network. If you would just go to the website for Black Talk Radio Network, the homepage, and that's www.blacktalkradionetwork.com, and hit the donation prompt that's there. You'll see it on the far right-hand margin. In green, the holding hands that's there, that will ensure that this network will continue to go forward. Please give some of your financial energy so that this network can continue to grow. Also, if you would like to support the network, you can go to, you can go to BTR Community. It's also, it's the capital B that's with the black background that's there. Just go to that and hit that, and that will get you into the social media outlet that Black Talk Radio Network has put together for you to engage in more of your social media activities in a more holistic way. And you can do that there, and it's only $24 a year. $24 a year gets you access to actually engaging in our own social media network, and I think that's going to be very, very important, especially for what we're going to be going through in the future. It's a place that we can all go and meet up and exchange information and everything else. So do that at BTR Community. You can join it for $24 a year, and that will also help to facilitate and support this network to keep going where it's going. Also, if you would like to acquire real money, you can do that by going to Prosperity Mint, prosperitymint.com. and check out what we have in inventory there. I forgot, there's a lot of great stuff that's coming out. We're going to be putting up some new stuff that's there. Just been so darn busy, but great things. Just go to Prosperity Mint, get your real money. You may not be paid in real money, but you can go always and save in real money. Definitely very, very important, okay? Also, If you would like to trade with us on the cryptocurrencies, you could do that by joining us at ourcryptocurrency.com, and that's the trading platform for Trade Coin Club, and it's real easy. All you got to do is fund it and just set it for the trading of it, and it takes care of everything else. Haven't checked it in a little bit, but I will. For all of you that are in the trade platform where it's what I'm going to have to do is I totally forgot. You won't be able to do it today. Thursdays are always bad for me. I'm usually on the move on Thursdays, Thursday evening. So we will have a actual get together tomorrow after Thando Radio Show, directly after Thando Radio Show. Then I have a class that I have to teach as well. So we'll do that. We will definitely get to that. The main thing is that for those of you that have signed up for the Trade Coin Club, you got to finish the process, fund your account, get into these cryptos because they're about to go, they're about to have a lot of, in my opinion, they're going to be moving up again. And that's why when I said they're going to be coming down and you need to be getting everything while they're coming down. And I think definitely they're going to start moving up, especially with what's going on in the world. So that is very, very important. Okay, with that being said, let me think. Oh, no, what is wrong with me? Can't forget this one. Everyone, please go to move this down real quick. Go to the GoFundMe campaign, and it's GoFundMe.com/Sam Union Yankee 5P-3 500. It's also posted inside of Thando Radio Show on BTR. That is my man Michael Emanuel's page for his GoFundMe page for him having to just finish chemotherapy about 2.5 weeks ago. And now the family has some things that needs to be gotten for Michael so that he can actually stay in remission and just to help his body heal from the cancer and from the chemo so that he can have a fresh start again. And that's some of the things that's needed. And it's very, very expensive stuff. So please, everyone, if you can, give what you can to my man Michael, and it's right there inside of Thando Radio Show. Actually, I think we're waiting on a shipment of some things to come in. Hopefully it'll come in today or tomorrow. I thought it would be, but I totally forgot. Shipping stuff gets all messed up around holidays. So we got some stuff we're going to get out to Michael. But definitely the GoFundMe page is there. Please support it. And for those of you that have, we greatly, greatly appreciate you. Okay? All right, so let's jump into what's in the news. Well, there was a lot. We missed yesterday's show, so I'm going to try to jump into some. I don't want to take too much time from Brother Davis's. But I'm going to just a couple of things that was there. And my man Roz posted this one. Whoa, I didn't see this one. NBC from Nothing But Crooks News, known as AKA NBC News. No more school lunch. Wow. So they taking out school lunches in certain parts in Texas and everywhere else. Check out that. Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Next article, I posted this one from the ChicagoTribune.com. Illinois states votes to override the governor's veto of the income tax hike budget. Illinois lawmakers are one critical step away from ending the record state's budget impasse. Well, it ain't over for Illinois. The actual credit rating agencies are still going to downgrade. I needed to check up on that. This whole thing is now it's a bunch of other states. It was, it was 3 more states that are in dire economic, and actually it's pretty much all the states that don't have assets are in very bad economic times, and is only going to further perpetuate. We're about to see it for real, y'all. It's really, really, and most people already know. So this is why we do what we do. Okay, next article, I posted this one I got from the en.kremlin.ru. That's the Russian, the Kremlin is the actual that comes from the Russian government itself. President's statements following Russia and Chinese talk. So check out that article. It tells you a lot there that's going on and what's going to be built. The next article, I got this one from Reuters. Arab states rip negative Qatar's reply to demands, but no new sanctions. So this whole the destabilization is going on throughout the world. Next article, I got this from Mish Talk. Italy openly discussed Euro exit in Parliament, debt restructuring, or Italy leave on the way. That whole European Union was going to fail anyhow. But yeah, that's falling apart, ladies and gentlemen, because of debt. All of this is the whole world is going to be is the excuse that's going to be used is going to be debt, which was created by this system in order to control people, and it continues to go forward. So check out that article. Next article, I got this one from Bloomberg. U.S. threatens trade with countries over support of South Korea. That came from Bloomberg. Next article, this from the Wall Street Journal. U.S. Russian spat over approach to North Korea threats. Check out that article. Next article, this one's from the Mail Online. U.S. and South Korea conduct joint ballistic drills. This was from yesterday. Next article from the South Sea of China. From the South China Morning Post. Why China's submarine could be the quieter than U.S. ones. Check out, you see this submarine. I've never seen a submarine like that one that's there. Next article, this came from Newsweek. Doing black hair at home no longer illegal in South Dakota. Wow. So that was that. Next, this was for today. These are the articles that went today. My man, L.A. Ramon. And big ups to my man, Ross, to him and the family. Our energy, our overall goodwill, our love, support, prayers are going out to you and family with the burial of Ross' father-in-law. So much love, much respect to my man Ross. Just wanted to say that. Next article, my man L.A. Ramon posted this one. He said North Korea wants to keep its ultimate insurance should the U.S. accept it. The Christian Science Monitor. Oh, that was some pieces of it. Yeah, ain't got no choice. But check this out. The article says North Korea wants to keep its ultimate insurance should the U.S. accept it. Got no choice. You got nukes. They got nukes. Everybody got nukes. That means everybody got to play fair, right? So let them man have nukes. Let them have nukes. So next article. This one comes from, this is a very, very important one. This one comes from Economic Political Journal. Just how bad the U.S. government's financial position is in one chart. Not only U.S. government. I want you to think about you, your family, and our community. And the U.S. government may be doing really bad, but we're doing far worse because this chart is synonymous with us, but it's only bigger. So we'll talk about this on Financial Friday. Next article from Activist Post. Fed officials say more hikes are on the way. Market disagrees. And why that's so important, that means that all your payments is going to be going up. Next article, this one comes from the ChicagoTribune.com. Chicago police expressed frustration after more than 100 shot in violent 4th of July weekend. And remember what they said, that they want to send in troops. This is all a part of it. You notice everything is sending in troops everywhere, military engagement here, military engagement there. That's because there's a reason, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real reason. So, and they're going to continue to create and foster this type of activity. So there was some saying that I'm not even going to go there, but they want to blame this on some other things, but in actuality, it's much, much bigger. And we're going to do a show on some of the things that's going on, in my opinion, not just in one part of the country, but globally and regionally. And these are the things we need to deal with. 100 people shot. Wow. Next article. This one comes from Russia Insider. U.S. military intelligence. Russia seeks a Move this down. U.S. military intelligence says Russia seeks a diaspora world where no one state dominates the entire globe. Check out that article. Next one comes from Bloomberg. Trump weighs pretty severe things for North Korea over launch. And I would tell you, I wouldn't be surprised that nothing is going to happen during the G20. But once the G20 meetings is over, it all could start from there. Just be thoroughly prepared for the tricks and deception that the system will always have. Next article comes from, this is from the Bureau of Economic, I can't remember what this is beat.gov. New release, U.S. international trade in goods and services. Boy, we're going to take a look at this on Friday. They're trying to trick you. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. They're trying to say it was a good thing. It came down, the U.S. trade deficit with China. Forget about it. Next article, very, very important one. A lot of you may have heard or not heard, there was a magnitude 5.8 earthquake that strikes east of Lincoln, Montana. Very, very significant. That's telling you that, and if it is, it just is. Yellowstone. So that's a very sizable earthquake for Montana, and we just hope that caldera in Yellowstone is not becoming active, because if it is, oh well. That's not going to be good. So, but won't be bad either. Nothing to worry about on that one. So that's what's in the news. We got Wise Thursday. Brother Davis missed Wise Wednesday yesterday. Wasn't able to get reception, and I wasn't able to get back in time to do a show. So we missed it yesterday. So we're going to do Super Wise Thursday with Brother Davis. It says, so if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give Brother Davis a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit star. We'll see you in queue. I will be actually driving in the next 30 minutes, so I'm going to miss, I won't be able to see the board. So if you call in, please make sure you just say, excuse me, hit star, say, excuse me, and Brother Davis will hear you and will bring you up for your question or comment. So we're going to bring in Brother Davis. Brother Davis, thank you so much, you and Sister Davis, for being who you are. What's up, Strategic Melanin? And want to just thank you, Brother Davis, and we greatly appreciate you. The floor is all yours, good sir.
Thank you, my brother. Good evening, brothers and sisters. And remember, this is an act of love. Tonight's show is going to be exciting, and I'm going to tell you why, because the research is limitless. When I started this just because I wanted to make sure that you were more informed. And the reason why is because there's so much happening now. For those of you who don't know, this so-called artificial intelligence now has become so subversive, to the degree that if you have a neighborhood store or business that is connected with certain security services, the moment you walk in the door, they know who you are. They know if you live in that general area, and sometimes they know exactly where you live, but yet you may not even live in that state. This is how vast this so-called artificial intelligence is, and this is on this. What I gave you isn't even the icing. That's just the tip. You see, all of these services now that are indulging in different levels of security literally have a dossier on anybody who has or spends a certain amount of dollars in the course of a year. Now, what does that mean? That means that you don't have to have a job for to have a dossier on you. You don't actually have to have a means of income for them to have a dossier on you, because the world works on a unique type of deception. Now, why do I say a unique type of deception? Because, see, literally, it's one thing to know what forward deception is. Forward deception is in your face. You know it's deception, and you're being victimized by it because of the laws that have been established in order for it to thrive. But there is an undercurrent of deception that literally is at work every time you reach or hit a moment of weakness. Now, what do I mean by hit a moment of weakness? Well, you've heard me talk about those stands that have the little cards out there to win a vacation. Do you realize a lot of them are run by services that do nothing but gather information and cross-reference it? Because many people fill those out and never put in, say they might put in their real name in case they have identified themselves, but they'll put in a phony address or a bum phone number or whatever. Well, these services, literally, they go through that and disseminate what the information is given, if whether it's real or not. Now, here's the sad part. They literally are selling your information in spite of what your opinion is, how you feel about it, because you filled out one of those little cards. Now, this may not have anything to do with whether you're a terrorist or not, because now our local municipalities are doing the same thing. Have you ever rode down the street and all of a sudden you seen a light behind you and you pulled over and you wonder what they pulled you over for and they tell you your registration has run out? Well, how the hell they know that? Unless they got a technology or a artificial intelligence that is telling them by the barcode that is on your plate when it drives by. But they're not telling you that because they don't want you to think that they are being so indulgent with your information, but absolutely they are. And what we have to do is understand that we are constantly under a microscope. Always assume that your picture is either being taken or your picture wherever you go. When you walk into a Walmart and you look up and you see that camera, what is happening is they're literally using face identification software so that they can identify you, and in most cases it's done instantly because there's so many people coming in and out. It is done instantly. So say they catch your face and they want to know who you are. All they do is press a button, and that button is a hold, and that hold holds that face while all of that information on that individual is coming up. And literally, if you utilize, say, the checkout where you slash your card, your bank card, they know more. You see, we have no idea of the magnitude of instruments that they are using to undermine our sovereignty. And we have to understand this, that there is no level the artificial intelligence works on that literally works for the individual's benefit. They're doing this to benefit the people who are buying the information. And that's why it's become so, should I say, it's so indulgent with your information. Actually, brother, it's intrusive in your life. Sisters, for those of you who don't know it, when you go anywhere, any public facility, they're taking your picture. Whatever information that you use to identify yourself, in most cases they either scan it or they take a picture of it. Because, once again, it's a way that they use it to profit by. And we have to understand this because we are vastly moving to a world where you are so controlled and you don't even realize it. What do I mean by so controlled and you don't even realize it? Well, when you go to the grocery store, this is just a general statement, they could tell by your regularity going to that store what it's time for you to buy. It doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but they want to know how much milk they should have on hand, how much eggs they should have on hand, and this is why they're doing it. You see, they want to sustain enough on their shelves to keep it rotating, especially when you shop on the outer perimeters of the stores, because you know on the outer perimeters is what's called the live food in certain areas, meaning vegetables, stuff that will literally last a few days before it starts the degeneration process. Then, on the inside, you have what's called the processed foods. Now, what are those? Those are the foods that literally only require you to add water and cook or season to taste, they say. And the reason why they do that is because, it's to make it so convenient for you. But in reality, let's look at what is happening. Because literally, they are making it convenient for you to give them the right to give you food that is not nutritious for you at all. We have to wake up. And the reason why we have to wake up is because the examples that are watching us are our children. And we must take this role very seriously, because as we become the victims of circumstance, literally, we allow them to take control. And the sad part about that is that they're doing it more and more every day. And they don't care how you feel about it. That's right. I might tell you I love you. They're not going to tell you nothing. And the reason why they won't tell you nothing is because they're hoping you don't know. Most people aren't listening to a show like you're listening to tonight. You know why? Because they don't want you to know what levels of what's called artificial intelligence is being emitted in your life. Now, let's just take a close look at some basic stuff. Okay, what is basic stuff? Basic stuff is all of the businesses in your neighborhood that have a security surveillance. Now, when you really think about it, it's quite a few of them. Because literally, they have those in there, they tell you, so that if they're robbed, they can have people on video. But in reality, do you realize how many agencies have access to that video? At the drop of a hat? Anyone that comes in and identifies themselves as being a security service or a security representative. And they may not be for the major municipalities. They may just be for private industry. See, we have been bamboozled. And the reason why we have been bamboozled is because we constantly give away our rights. When you give away your rights, you give away your sovereignty. And when you give away your sovereignty, you're telling whoever gets that sovereignty to do what they want with it. Oh, you're not saying it verbally in so many words, but your actions are saying it. And that's what they're relying on. They're relying on your inability to feel as though you could make a difference. You see, at one time, there was the concept of Paul Revere. What did he do? He was supposed to have, and really it wasn't Paul Revere, but I'm using that as a metaphor so I can give you an understanding. One person could make a difference by waking up others and bring them to arms. Put a perimeter up, set up at events, and be ready to do battle. Well, that literally has been programmed out of you. And the reason why is because the programs that you are under right now are based on your senses and your emotions. Why, you may ask? Why would they choose senses and emotions? Because it's very easy to manipulate you that way without saying a word. Think about it. If something is going on at school and your child calls you, you're going in there and you're already emotional. See, you don't realize it. But from the time you come in there, someone is examining your behavior, the way you act, your perception of the facility. And I know all of this here seems trivial, but it's not to these people. You see, these people have a plan, and the plan is to make you feel as comfortable as possible in an environment that may be dangerous to your health. You see, a lot of times we don't realize that we don't even ask the pertinent questions. Okay, what is a pertinent question? Well, when you see a fountain of water, you just assume that it's fresh water. So literally, the program is for your eyes to identify, your thirst to kick in, which is a sense, and you go over and you taste the water. Now, here's the catch-22. That may not be water that is healthy for you. That water might have 200 chemicals in it to give you the presentation of drinking a refreshing water. And they do that because they have been so much contamination to every part of our natural resources. And it's really big time in the Northeast. Now, why do I say that? There are more condensed people, more people living in a condensed situation in the Northeast than any other part of the country. Now, it gets bad on certain places on the West Coast, but the largest number of people live between New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. You see what I'm saying? That area up here, Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., this is all considered the Northeast. So you're looking at Virginia, you're looking at West Virginia, Pittsburgh. See, you look at the population and considering the size or the mass of land, and you have more people living in a smaller mass of land in those areas. So their problems are even multiplied when something like this new oil drilling that they do now, in which they're blasting the ground with water, and literally they're forcing the oil out of the ground in droplets, and then they separate it. The sad part about it is that it's really taken off in the Northeast. Why is that sad? Because it's destroying the groundwater. But we have to do the due diligence to be knowledgeable enough to know these things. So in understanding how artificial intelligence works, they have a program. It's always in operation. You've called on the telephone and heard it. Hello, this is Bank of America. If you want to speak to a clerk, press 1. If you want to speak to a manager, press 2. If you want to speak to loans, press 3. If you want to speak to customer service, you've heard them. And they're operating all over. And here's the catch-22. They literally take a verbal sample of your voice when you speak. Now, what is a verbal sample? It's a sound wave. For those of you who don't know, when you speak, there's a certain degree of vibration that comes out of the sounds of your mouth with the tone of your voice. And when they record that, it's called a sound wave. So therefore, they could literally match your face and your voice coming from two different areas. Now, for those of you who are not shocked yet, wake up, because it gets worse. You see now, all of those places in your community that have surveillance cams, all submit that surveillance at one time or another or upon request to the local municipalities. The local municipalities take pictures, and now they're even taking DNA of everyone that ever gets caught up in some sort of crime. And when I say some sort of crime, it can be a misdemeanor or it can be a major felony. It doesn't make a difference. Anything in the middle. Because they're adding to the database. Don't think they're not making a profit off your information, too. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people are probably saying to yourself, well, if you know all this, why are you even telling us? I mean, doesn't that put a spotlight on you? It does. But in reality, if we don't bring you the truth, and they don't bring you the truth, you will never know the truth and be constantly victimized. A great man once said, by any means necessary. And this is where we are now. And we have to look and see who those people out there who are in our best interest and who are not. It's that simple. So let's take another simple circumstance. Say you're downtown to the city hall, and you got to go to the bathroom. So you go into the bathroom, and you come out. Do you realize from the time you entered City Hall till you did your business, you go to the bathroom to come back out until you leave, they might have 7 or 8 points of you on video. So now they're starting to study the way you walk. You know why they're putting this pattern? When they put this profile together, they can have pictures of you walking, going, and coming. They can judge your body movements. They can judge the intensity of your thought process, all by your behavior patterns. You see, a lot of you don't know this is going on. This is why that we have to examine this so-called artificial intelligence closely. And guess what? It's everywhere. Don't assume for 1 minute, not 1 second, that regardless of where you are or the lighting that is there, that you are not either being videotaped or recorded audibly. Because when you do, you leave yourself open for this to come back and bite you in a way you would never have expected. We are dealing with the public internet. But do you realize how many nets there is out there? Oh yeah. This internet that we're on, this is the very lowest key. This is what they call the lowest realm. But see, the sad part about it is that we have no idea to what degree the depths are of this realm. You see, a lot of times we victimize ourselves because we don't know. And here's the catch. It's constantly advancing itself. Do you know these technologies are so good that even different services have them? Okay, Facebook has they have an artificial intelligence service, and it's so unique that it literally has created a language that is exclusively to Facebook. Snapshot just came out and announced that their artificial intelligence service also comes with a stalker program. Oh, yeah, that's right. That means that if you're a part of the group, then you could see on your phone where everybody in your group is at, and you could tell if they're in the car, you could tell if they're in the library, you could tell if they're grocery shop, you could tell if they're swimming. And here's the catch. It has a program in there that would allow you to stalk any one of them. So, brothers and sisters, now, that's on an adult level. Think of children that are in those services. Oh, it's fun in their little group of kids, but pedophiles go to many lengths to find their victims. And for those of you who do not know, pedophilia is about to be passed as a major law. Now, for those of you who had some insight, pedophilia was actually written in to the National Authorization Defense Act. And you know the sad part about it? You would think, why would somebody need that? Because there are people in our society that literally indulge in pedophilia as a way of life. If that hasn't scared you yet, hang on to your seats. Because these people, they network with each other in different levels of the internet. Remember, I told you, you're on the public level. Okay? Anybody can access that level of the internet. But there are certain areas of internet you cannot access. And the reason being is because they serve different services. Matter of fact, International Business Machines, which is, is IBM, has established several levels of the internet for solution. Do you realize that Microsoft has been dismantled and reconstructed so many times that they are on multiple levels of the internet? We fail to realize that groups are consulting on the internet levels of which we could never have access to because we don't have the ability. There are supercomputers that are working the internet around the clock at hyper speeds. I'm talking 200 or 300, 400 times faster than your in-home computer. And the reason why they're doing that is because they have the ability to meet the need of the service they provide. Now, I don't know about you, but the more I got into this, the more I said, wow. So literally, they know where you are every moment of the day. Absolutely. One time you had a certain degree of sovereignty about that. You don't have that no more. If you have a cell phone, even when you turn it off, it's working for them. Are you understanding me now? So I want you to open your eyes. I want you to open your ears because I'm going to run a few different things by you in the next hour so that you can see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you trust me enough to believe that what I tell you is true. But when you do your own due diligence, you have what's called a revelation. And that revelation becomes a part of your testimony because, see, we have to understand that until everybody knows what is going on, anybody can be victimized. And then once you know, there's avenues that you could take. You literally support what we call a certain degree of selfishness. Because let's face it, most of the people who will sit back and say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. That's not the question. It's not about doing anything wrong. It's about them being intrusive into your life. It's about them dismantling your personal sovereignty. It's about them feeling they have a right to take the information of who you are and what you represent, whether it's mentally, physically, or your religious affiliation, and utilizing it to profit by. We have to open up our minds to what is going on because it's only going to get worse. And so we're talking about information and data. We didn't get into medical. What do I mean by medical? I mean nanotechnology. You realize now they're putting cameras in people's body with a needle so they could literally see the disease. If there's a disease. Sometimes they do it just to see how local the functions are. Here's the sad part. A lot of people submit to it without even thinking. Without even thinking. So if you think that's bad, just imagine somebody wants a body part. Oh, that can't happen in America. Oh, yes, it does. Matter of fact, there's a company in South Africa that advertises that we will get you a body part of the highest quality. Think about that for a minute. See, we have been inundated with technologies that we were told are passive. We were told will give us a better quality of life. We were told that what I was going to say was the greed outweighs our need to have privacy, which is the truth. But that was going to be that their need to have our information is fed by their greed for money. Now, if you really want to use that formula, you can use it in every aspect of America. Their need to control us is their greed for money. Their need to put us in a court system that literally has nothing to do with how the system is run is because their greed for money. What I mean by that, there's a lot of black men in jail. They ain't got no business paying there. But their greed literally is setting the pace that is so bountiful that we have been adopted into the program. Oh, absolutely. Because we will see a need and we will do nothing about it. Why? Because we only got $12. And this person only needs $2 for something to eat. Are they really trying to get my $2 for something to eat, or are they trying to go get some liquor? You see how the program is constantly working? Now, I'm not saying it's bad for you to evaluate your money. No, I'm not. But why should we sit back and think that we're going to achieve something by doing nothing? When I hear somebody in need, I try to see how I can apply to that circumstance. And I may not be able to do everything at once, but sometimes I'll take and I'll chip at it. I'll put a little chip here and I'll put a little chip there, and to the extent of my resources. Because that way, at least they know that I'm sincere. If I could do more, I would, but I will do my best to do something. That's how you beat this system. Because then they begin to realize that we're beginning to care again. And when we start to caring about each other, it can be contagious. Because literally, I'm not asking people, oh, we need $100 from 50,000 people, and this is what we can do. We could build a hospital in our neighborhood that has literally first aid for everybody. But we don't. The reason why we don't is because literally we are too busy being ignorant in reference to the greed program that's running in our lives. My brothers and sisters, we are not the exception. We are the norm. And the sad part about it is because the program forces us to be the norm. Why? Because we submit to the program. Oh, by the way, that program, that's run by artificial intelligence. They don't monitor it. They put the parameters on it and let it flow. My thing is that when you know about it, you can do something about it. When you don't know about it, it's an entirely different problem altogether. But we must make a stand. We must do something. Because when we do nothing, we victimize ourselves. And the reason why we victimize ourselves is because we do not see the need to be a part of servicing what is needed by someone else. We have been literally taught to disconnect from humanity and serve you, self. And if they can't take care of themselves, that's on them. That's not who we are as a people. That's one of the reasons why I thought that we need to openly discuss what is happening to us. This artificial intelligence that's literally starting to really bow us over in our own lives. Have you ever gone to the movie lately to see some of the things that are doing in the movies with cameras and photography and the idealisms behind it? These stem from the very same aspects of artificial intelligence. Oh, yeah, the graphics are great, but we don't see how those various things are being used against us right in our own communities. We have work to do, y'all. And you got to start where you are. But you got to do something. Because if you don't, sooner or later, that very thing that someone else needed and asked you through some organization or through some group, if you could just contribute as a group, we could do more than we can as individuals. That very thing may be something you need one day. So I try to get people to understand that it's not that you have to do it, but if you love life on any level, you should see the need because you want people to see your need when your time comes. I want to shake the root a little bit to tell you the next hour I need you to call in because there's just so many facets to this. And there's so many levels of the internet that we don't even know about. For those who have an idea, do you know what the shadow internet is? Well, it's another internet service. But there's a lot of things going on there that will never reach the mainstream TV. There's a lot of things that are going on there that literally are operating against us on a daily basis. And guess what? It's called the shadow internet for a reason. So there's various levels of the internet that are working against us. Our responsibility as humans is to identify when we reach the danger point and know that we have to do something. Because when we don't, we allow them to treat us as stand-byers that sit and do nothing in the face of their own destruction. Now, I'm trying to give you enough understanding so that you will see that there have already been intrusive in our lives. And I'm only talking about artificial intelligence. You see, there is a level called advanced artificial intelligence. And then there's another level that's called super advanced artificial intelligence. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Because on each level, they're experimenting and doing things from everything from, should I say, gene splicing on the level of, the level of genetically modified organisms to slamming atoms together on the level of particle science. There are things that are happening that are going to directly affect us that if we have no knowledge of, we allow ourselves to be victim by our ignorance. Why are we being victim by our ignorance? Because we're not doing the due diligence. Do you realize when I started doing this research, what really got me off on this was Snapchat's release of their software this weekend. I'm not ready to, and I'm saying, what? And here's my granddaughter saying, Pop, did you see my video? What video? The one on Snapchat. What? I called her mom and I said, you know she's on sale? Yeah, that's the new thing. No. Wait a minute. It's not the new thing. You read it? Well, no, it's harmless. No, it's not harmless. You need to read this here. We need to discuss this here as parents so that we can literally put this as a nip this in the bud. Because, see, that's how they started. They want your children to think, oh, this is the latest fad. And all the time they have a subversive reason behind it. Now, I don't know if you caught what I said about that so-called looking for those people on the internet that they find interesting. Yeah. That person they find interesting may be your son, may be your daughter, may be your grandchild. And now they can spot wherever they are, whatever they're doing. They're playing with their friends and shooting pictures of silly snapshots. And somebody's looking at these and they're fantasizing from a level that these children cannot imagine because they're sick like that. We have to accept the responsibility of taking back our sovereignty where we can, because guess what? They're not giving it all back to us by no means. By no means. But whenever you have a software that you can blatantly say has a stalker mode and it's given and marketed to children, you better wake up. Because that person who designed that software was not a child. That person that designed that software could very well be one of those stalkers who is seeking your child. I take this very serious because one of our children being affected by this in a negative way should hurt us all. Because that child could be the tip of the iceberg. Because you know you never find out the whole truth. Why? Because there's a group of people who don't want you to know the whole truth. That's why it's important to have Black Talk Radio. So we can shake you up and wake you up. To let you know this ain't just affecting me. Because guess what? You might get a picture on your cell phone of your granddaughter smiling, saying, look, Nana, I'm leaving school and we had a great day. And somebody else is looking at that saying, wow, that 10-year-old, the whole different savor and flavor all together. And guess what? She's on Snapchat now. So I can hit the stalker mode and know where she's at all the time. Wake up, y'all. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday coming at you on Thursday. And we get ready to go to a break, but I wanted to give you that hint of information to let you know this is in our backyard, and we don't have to just submit to it. There's some things we can do about it. But I want to point some out to you, and I'm not done yet because there's still some areas I want to discuss with you. And then we'll get into solutions, taking back the right to be human again, how to converse with other brothers and sisters, as well as people that are others. And the reason why I say that is because we're not going to do this as a group of African Americans. We need to incorporate everybody that may be sitting in a similar situation with us or have children that can be victimized just like ours. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. I'll be right back after the station break. Can I have that phone? Hey, Scotty.
Radio since 2008, providing new black media for the masses.
Welcome back. Let's get off running. Listen, y'all need to pick up the telephone. Just get much deeper. Have you ever heard of the ESNet 4? Oh, no, you haven't? That doesn't surprise me. The reason being is because it's not conducive to your daily lives, but it's conducive to many because it's a networking internet, and it features all science and energy information. The network of this for the future is a DOS, what they call science, by William E. Johnston, ESNet Department Head and Senior Scientist. That tells you that they're doing something on this here that deals with science. Well, that means that your information is not above what they're dealing with science. So you need to open up your ears. It's a platform for science discovery, for energy science networking, and a high performance unclassified, understand that? It's unclassified network built to support science and research. So therefore, since there is a certain degree of knowledge that has to get to that, it has a certain degree of classification. Don't even kid yourself. One of the things that we have to understand is what they call, oh wow, this is deep. Download Microsoft Net. This is the framework for. It's an installer web, the official Microsoft Download Center. So literally, they're downloading information and data at specific spots that are designed to not only build and research, but to create languages. That's right. All of these softwares, and this is a byproduct, all of these softwares at internet levels, they literally design a language of conversation inside them. Let's see. How about the GitHub on the ES network? That's a bandwidth network that literally allows you to expand your bandwidth. Wow, it says it is a tool of measurable summary. This tool is to activate and measures the maximum achievable bandwidth. See, there's a lot of things going on out here that are affecting us that we are unaware of. And the reason why we need to talk about them is because we need to know what speeds can we attain, what science is being done. Are there any careers in this that we could be a part of? And what is an ESNet map? Is that telling you all of the people that's involved with the service, or all of the people that they want you to know about? You see, we got a lot of information that we give out every day, and all of these different things can tap into it. And you know what? Net 4 is just one of them, because they got what's called a Net 5. Yes, that's right. They got the same thing, a ESNet 5 service, and it serves on a similar basis, but not the same. Because literally, this map highlights the sites of ESNet servers and structures of the network and of all of the SNet sites. Well, that's of the Earth Science, I believe. No, Energy Science, I'm sorry. Energy Science Network sites. So, literally, they're telling you that this is another service that are just dealing with academia. I spoke to you earlier about what's called the shadow net. Now, understand the shadow net is 100 times faster than the Google or anything else. While the rest of us send data across the public internet, the space agencies use the shadow network called, which is, I just mentioned to you, ESNet, short for energy. What is the net? Core 5 or ASP.NET 5 within a net of 2015 preview. So that means that this isn't new. This has been updated and inundated and constantly growing. Wow. It has a capability of 100 gigabytes of shadow internet only for the U.S. government has access to. So at any given time, although we may not see 100 gigabytes as clearly as they do, they have that access to them in every second. It should bother you. Then there's the Internet 2, which is another service site. I can't really go through all of these because some of these are what they call special commodity sites. So there are people networking in special areas. It might be architecture. It might be building structure. It might be pool construction. But these people all have avenues to get onto the net that serves their specific service. And, you know, one of the major players in this is Wikipedia. It seems like Wikipedia has access to the information to put it out there. Now, I don't trust everything on Wikipedia, but there are some things on Wikipedia that will open some doors so for you to do your due diligence. And one of the reasons why I'm pushing this information to you is because that bothers me. It bothers me that we have no self-privacy. It's gone. We used to, but we don't have it no more. So there's no way that you can really say sovereignty is a part of who we are now, because it is not. We have sacrificed our self-sovereignty. We have given ownership, we have our ownership taken away from us, but an individual sovereignty in the concept of the property that one owns, one purchases, expresses as a moral or a natural right. A person to have bodily integrity and to be exclusively controller of his own body and life. Do you understand the magnitude of that? Because I'm trying to get you to see that we have to be the examples for our children, for them to be able to walk through these corridors and be able to evaluate what their needs are without being swayed by the marketing. And you know the marketing. Hey, when you need gas, go to Phillips 66 store. Well, Phillips 66 out there is not out there. I'm outdating myself. Go to the local Speedway or the Hess in the Northeast. Hess was big. Then there's the Pilot and 7-Elevens. See, and all of them have a gimmick. Oh, we got the big gulp here. Yeah, the big gulp is $1 for this month. The hottest summer, big gulp for $1. They don't tell you that the big gulp is 90% sugar and 10% water. You know why? Because the 10% water is the largest of the mass. So when you taste it, you just get the flavor. What it is, flavored sugar. But they're not going to tell you that. Once again, we are allowing ourselves to be victimized because of the circumstances in which we may be in for only a short period of time. Marketing is the tool they use on us on every level. And we must understand that it's a part of the problems that we're having. They got these new billboards. I know you've seen them. They're electronic. They flash, in a minute, they might flash 5 ads at you. You know why? Because they're giving each ad, say, 6.3 or 7 seconds. All right? And then in that atrium, they flash something that you can identify across the bottom. It might have the McDonald's logo, or it might have the Arby's logo. But in the meantime, you're going back up to another flash. You see, this is marketing on steroids. And we got to understand that we have to control every aspect of how our dollar is spent and the decisions that we make to spend the dollar and how we make those decisions to spend the dollar. Because when we allow ourselves to be victimized, we come up on the short end. Somebody says, well, you know what, my family's going through some hard times, and I appreciate anything you can give. Well, if they're going to that hard times and you could give, the program is telling you not to. That's your money. They might be lying. And any one of those things could be true. You know why? Because society has taught us that deception is acceptable. When is it not acceptable? It is not acceptable when it's you, when you have to make the decision. I don't need to deceive you. I've already told you I love you. I don't even know you, and I sure didn't ask nothing from you. So I would start there. You know why I'd start there? Because there's no requirement at all. Nothing more than hello. You know, one of the reasons why my wife and I chose to move into the South was because it's a different atmosphere. Some people don't even know you. When they walk down the street, good morning. How you doing today? I mean, and they be smiling at you. I don't know about you, but if you walk the streets of New York or Philadelphia or Harrisburg, these people look angry. Go get on the bus. They throw their heads into their PDAs. Why? Because they don't want conversation with you. What happened to the time when we used to have social interaction? Now they're making businesses deals on the telephone. You know why? Because at one time you used to sit down at the table, bring out your paperwork, and compare notes, make sure that what he has is seasoned for you and what you have is seasoned for him, and you could do business face-to-face. They don't do that no more. They have stripped us, meaning artificial intelligence, of our humanity. The sad part about it is that we have been submitting to it and not even giving any thought. Why? Because, I could just make a statement. I could put it on a Facebook, or I could put it on the internet and just walk away from it and see people's reaction. See, have you seen how narcissistic it has made people on the internet now? Where these women either get there and they're either sincere, or the brothers get there and they're either sincere, but they always have a motive. How many pictures of one person have you seen change in a day? And I have seen some of the people get on there and put 4 or 5 pictures of themselves. They're like, I don't mind you liking yourself. That's cool. But when does it become narcissistic about you advertising who you are? And if so, do you realize it? Because, see, a lot of these, especially these young minds today, I see these girls on there, and they don't do nothing but shake their butt, or they twerk, okay? But they don't know their information's there. So before you know it, you read about something crazy, where a guy answered an ad on Craigslist, and he was robbed. Or he was trying to get into the, shall we say, the red light district by going through Facebook and find out he was victimized. Deception is from full effect. If we're going to do something, we have to do it now, because guess what? Our time is running out. Why do I say our time is running out? Because we're giving this artificial intelligence so much power that now it takes it, whether we like it or not. It's taking control of our lives, and we're sitting back watching the TV. How many people know what's going on with what's the Empire? Empire. I don't even know these news shows. I'm gonna tell you. The reason why I don't know is because I see the effect when I just go to something simple as a media service. They're talking about it. You know, people have parties behind these TV shows. That's absolutely nothing to do with your time. Regardless of what that TV show presents you, it is not giving you nothing. It is not benefiting you by nothing. It is not putting nothing in your pocket, and you will not become more intelligent by watching it. But yet, because they take and they do these so-called those surveys to see what people want, do you realize the most of the shows that come on this week deal directly with death or blood or murder or violence? You don't think that's changing us as humanity because we're submitting to that? If everybody turned their TV off and didn't do nothing but read a Bible, that would start a transition. Now, I don't agree with the Bible, but most people look at that as being some manner of moral structure. I think it's just one, but I'm just trying to give you an emphasis on the importance of us taking back our control. Because guess what? Artificial intelligence right now have already designed medicines that they have going out every day. Look at your TV set. There's 25 or 30 new medicines. Oh, and that's not counting the 25, 30 new side effects. And then people walk around talking about, I don't feel so good. Well, what did you eat today? Well, I stopped out. When I left the house, I had McDonald's. And then when I was at work, I hit the candy machine before lunch because you know how you get that kind of hungry. And I got me a crumpin' chunky nut. Well, what's a crumpin' chunky nut? Oh, I don't know, but it was gooey and it had peanuts. I think it was chocolate, but it could have been carob. See, all of these things, literally, your system does not identify. Your system identifies live food. But because we're marketed something, because the artificial intelligence, even your computers will tell you, it's break time. You see, that only gives you incentive to go out there with a few coins in your hand to see what could take the edge off your appetite. They do this because they want the resources in your pocket, and you're busy giving them. Now, here's the humdingity. Your health care is up in the air. People are getting sick in mass numbers, and they got enough nerve to say, well, you know, I think that once we get good health care, there is no good health care coming to America. Let me repeat that for those people who don't understand. There is no good health care coming to America. America never had national health care till it had affordable health care. And then people disclaimed it so much, those people who had money could afford their own health care, they called it Obamacare and turned a certain segment against the health care plan based on the name they gave it, calling it outside of its real name. So when people went to vote, they were voting against Obamacare, not realizing what they were voting was against affordable health care, that they put a different name on it in order for them to vote against their own interests. Then we wake up here because we are being victimized by our own ignorance, the very ignorance that AI is relying on us to stay stupid in so it can continue doing with anything it wants. And I'm going to tell you something. The people who are making a fortune off this, they are not us. They're making a fortune because guess what? You're going to their stores. You're buying their goods. You're buying their gas. You're buying all of those things that you think don't amount to much. When millions of people buy them, it makes them millions of dollars. We have to understand that there's not going to be a change until we initiate the change. I love you. That's why I'm telling you. If we go to war, guess whose children are going? Not ours. Not theirs. Ours. Is there somebody in queue? One of the things we have to understand is that when our children are going, they're going not because they want to, but because somebody used some sort of deception to inflict something upon them that will make them make a decision. I know. A decision they may not want to make. I know. And the sad part about it is that then they turn around and say, well, we're doing this for your good. No, they're not. They are not doing it for your good. You're not going to benefit from a war. I'm going to tell you now, you are not going to benefit from a war. You're going to lose. And if they go to war, if we go to war, guess what? Those people who sell bombs and those people who are invested in the destruction industry are going to make a fortune. And that's not you. You know why? Because you are not looking to make money that way. That's not one of the avenues you see in making money. If that's the case, they wouldn't be crying the blues about stocks, which is another gamble that they want you to play. We must open up our minds to the things that we can change by moving as a mass. For those of you who don't know it, we just had a law passed. What does that law say? That law says that the financiers have the right to take all of their losses and place that debt on the banking industry. That's right. And the banking industry in this law has a right to take all of that debt and place it on those who have accounts in their banks. That's right. Yeah. That loss, that debt that transcended is now your debt because you have money in that bank. Oh, and by the way, I found out today it's credit unions too. Yeah. There's no escaping this. We have to make a stand. We have to do something. And I'm going to tell you something. I can't tell you what to do because there's so much that needs to be done. We need people who are going to take and monitor this here. We need people who are going to convey the ideas of what needs to be changed. We need people who are going to initiate those or implement those changes. We need people who are looking at the school district. We need people who are going to go into the school district and be voiceful about putting across our opinions. We need people who also are going to do the background research so that they can come up with a curriculum that is conducive to the education of our children, as well as we need people who are going to be able to make the presentation to the school district as well as down to city council meetings, because the city council is also on another kind of trip that deals with the city, and that's going to affect you because you live there. There is much to be done. I try to stay in my lane, but there's so much that needs to be done. I find myself jumping from lane to lane too. So I try to fine-tune my information so that when I get a chance to address that lane I'm in, I'm coming from a knowledgeable standpoint. Because some people are just angry. Some people are just mad. You realize what you get done when you're angry and mad? Nothing. You allow them to interpret your frame of mind, and guess what? Before you know it, oh, that person, they're just too hostile. We can't work with them. And all of a sudden, regardless of what your position was or what your tax investment is, you have no foundation to speak because you literally let your emotions take control of your ability to convey the idea that you went there to express or to put across. Control is where we have to start. We have to control self. And then after we control self, we got to articulate with those people who are trying to achieve the same thing on many different levels. Because guess what? If your trash isn't being picked up in your neighborhood in 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to have a major trash problem. And it's just that simple. There's a lot of trash that's being thrown around in the political world. And that trash is basically green. So therefore, nobody is really looking out for the interests of the little man, the so-called. Our paychecks are not big enough. Oh, they're going to take them. But they're not big enough because they're not voting for the people who gave them the paycheck. They're not voting in their interests. What do you got to do? Does a rock have to fall on your head before you realize that the sky ain't falling? It was a rock. See, AI does that. It puts you in a situation to make you feel you're helpless when you are not. So you literally have to wake up. Because I'm going to tell you, we haven't discussed some levels of science that literally could change our lives overnight. You heard of chemtrails? What are in chemtrails? What is the so-called aluminum iodine or particle science that they're putting out there? Why are they doing that? What is the effect on the human body? Because I know you've seen them. Or how about the chemical industry? What's that smell? You ever ride around one and you get that? What's that smell? What are they covering up with that smell that isn't totally pungent but is unpleasant? You understand how I said that? Because if you live anywhere or drive anywhere by one, you know it. It's not totally pungent, but it's very unpleasant. We had to take control, y'all. Corporations have taken AI through the roof. And please don't get me to talking about these new so-called genealogy societies. Get us, find your DNA. We could tell you where you come from. Yeah, but is that all you're going to do with it? Because you have to understand, with artificial intelligence, you could take that simple drop of blood and not only tell where a person comes from, but you could tell how healthy they are. That's right. You could tell if there's a malfunction in their body that's affecting the physical or the chemical structure in their body. That's right. You could tell if their blood matches somebody else's. Are y'all getting this? Oh, would you like to add that, Ms. Davis? Okay, my wife is coaching me in the background, but understand these things are important now because our children go to school every day, and in that school, you know what they tell them? Well, go through that door over there. And we teach them to go. You know what I'm telling my grandchildren? When they tell you to go through that door over there, to ask them what's over there. Because, see, they don't want them to ask questions. And if they don't tell you, I tell them, walk out the door and run home. Because when you run home, I can protect you. I could go to the door to the school and say, what's in that door over there? Oh, well, that's just something we want the children in. No. She had a right to question, and when you wouldn't answer her question, she had a right to run home. But now, we could literally dismantle the school boards and restructure them if we do this together. If we come out of our mode of, should we say, greed and self-servitude, and work as a group. Anytime you're in a group, there's no one person that has an exclusive problem. Y'all have the similar problem. Education, there's not one person that has an exclusive problem. All of y'all have a similar problem. One of the things I was conveying on the internet, I talked to the UK black community over there, and I conveyed to them that your problems is our problems and our problems is your problems. It don't make a difference that you way over there. You got the same problems. And you know what? A sister hit me back and she said, you know what, brother? You're right. You're right. What you have over there is called police brutality. What we have over here is called the destruction of migrants, which is the same thing. They just word it differently. That's why deception is so live in America. Because people don't want to say what it is. They want to use the deceptive term. Okay? They surrendered. They surrendered after you got done beating them up for 5 minutes and kicking them in the head, put handcuffs on them and threw them in the back of the car. Oh, by the way, they smashed their face on the table on the way in. These are the type of stories they give you, and literally, they don't have to explain them no more. You know why? Because AI has taught you not to ask questions or you'll get hurt. Well, I'm going to tell you something. And my wife ain't going to like this, but you only die once. Really. You will die 1,000 times if you submit as a coward. But if you stand on your feet, you only die once. I learned that lesson hard when I loved. But it was a lesson that I learned well. A coward dies 1,000 times. We must learn the importance of identifying what is in our best interest and what is not. There have been marketing this so-called artificial intelligence to us for so long that we just accepted it. Remember when you would get on the telephone and call customer service and all of a sudden you was talking to somebody you could understand? Then all of a sudden you was talking to somebody in a far-off land? Now you're talking to a machine. So it hasn't gotten any better. Yeah, the machine that talks back to you. So it hasn't gotten any better. It literally is taking over. And when it takes over, the more it takes over, the more jobs lost. That's right. Because remember, they used to have people to answer them phones. Now they don't. They have a human factor that sits in the back that literally comes to the phone when they want to. But you know what they did? They fired 15 people and put those recorders on there and keep 2 in the back. And you know what? They even come on and say, well, this is a high-volume call time. You know, that's a lie. A lot of times they just put that on because they don't feel like answering the phone right now.
Or they'll just say email us. Brother Davis, or they'll just say email us.
You're absolutely right, Dave. But see, what I'm trying to point out to you is that we have given artificial intelligence more power than human intelligence. And the sad part about it is that we're surrendering it easily. How many times have you been advertised about a new phone? A new phone when your old phone ain't even broke. But they don't make no money unless you upgrade. They actually are sneaking a new technology in with the new phone. And the technology they want you to know about, they'll tell you about. But the one they don't want you to know about, you're going to do some due diligence to find out about. And don't kid yourself. All of these telecommunication services are connected with the ABC guy. Y'all do know the ABC guys, right? The FBI, the CIA, the EED, the DEF, the FDA, all of them. They all are finding out what you're doing, even if the information is insignificant to them. But you know why? Because it's artificial intelligence conveying it. To artificial intelligence, that's data. To me and you, I really don't particularly care when you get up in the morning if you drink tea and watch the morning news. But you realize there are surveys out here that will ask you, when you get up in the morning, what kind of tea do you drink, and do you watch the morning news, and what channel? See what I'm saying? They're doing this for a reason, because they feed this into AI, and when you get on the telephone and you talk to somebody and they say, well, it would be 5 minutes, then they give you little tidbits. Oh, do you know that 29% of America, when they get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and have a cup of tea, they watch CBS News? Like, that's interesting. Well, you called for that. No. We have been victimized enough. And for those of people who are not in the loop, this AI is really going on steroids. You've heard of Stern. You've heard of presidential elections without receipts. Yeah, you ever wonder why that is? How can you prove who you vote for if you don't have a receipt? Because if you went back to the computer and typed in your name, it ain't going to say, well, I, such and such of Davis, voted at such and such a place at such and such a time on such and such a day. No, it don't. You know why? Because that way they can take control. They can tell you anything. Oh, so guys. Okay, Hillary got the popular vote, but Donald Trump got the electoral vote. So they make it nice. For all you know, it could all be a lie. But they want you to participate because that's the American way. You know, patriotism is the biggest fraud there is. Let me tell you why. Because we never went to war based on patriotism or based on the so-called democracy in the country. We went to war behind gold. We went to war behind oil. We went to war behind anything these corporations to see as valuable for their idealisms. And right now, for those of you who don't know it, North Korea is a gold mine of a certain degree of material that is used to make technical toys. That's right. Why do you think the wolf tickets are for? They ain't did nothing. I mean, they don't even have a missile that can hit the shore. I mean, think about it. But you know why they ain't messing with it? Because China and Russia's right there, too. Now, they have no need for it right now, but if they do, they can tap into it. They know. The people who don't know are you and I. So then when they talk about, well, we got to go to war because North Korea, that's crock. North Korea is a satellite country. You know what a satellite is? It's not even a percentage of the size of America. Let me repeat that. A percentage of the size. Okay, listen, we get ready to go to a break. We're coming up on the last one now. So those of you who can, get on your telephone number. Try to find some solutions I can give to you. But most of all, I want you to understand, it's you that's going to make the difference. I'll help, but it's you that's going to make the difference. This is Brother David, so we'll be right back after the break.
Black Talk Media Project launched the digital radio platform Black Talk Radio Network, the first such platform created to serve the black community specifically. Black Talk Radio Network has grown with a variety of radio hosts, digital radio stations, and podcasters. Web analytics say Black Talk Radio, the platform, has an online reach that ranks it among the top independent black media platforms in the world. All of this is possible because of financial contributions to the nonprofit Black Talk Media Project. If you love the work we do and the voices and perspectives we bring to you every day, make a donation today to ensure that Black Talk Radio is here in the future. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Black Talk Radio, new black media for the new millennium. Okay, we have to really put our minds together on how we're going to make this work. First of all, let's work on our smile. Do you know the universe is made up of little interactions that stimulate the energy that grows within a community? Let me say that again. The smile, which is a positive individual offering, the universe is made up of little interactions that stimulate the energy and growth within the community. We're going to be positive about trying to convey what we're trying to do. We're going to have to be able to reflect on it being a part of the whole. And most of all, we're going to have to challenge others to become a part of this. And in doing so, we got to be positive with that, because, the reality is we can make greater difference. Oh, yes, please add to the conversation. Is there someone in queue? Okay, we must encourage creation. What is encourage creation? We must encourage creative thinking. When we have a solution that we really want to tackle, we must be open to other ideas, especially young people. And I always say incorporate young people, because they always feel like, we don't want to listen to the old school because all they want us to do is put our backs into it. No. Well, we don't. We want you to be creative in your thought process. We want you to bring some stuff to the table that your peers can identify with, so that you can become a force in the service of the community that we're trying to bring forth together. And you know what? We have to do things together. We have to share our ideas, but we have to do things together. And most of all, and I really want to emphasize this, we must teach and participate. I learned a long time ago when I was back on doing things, and I was into the religious world, that we would go out and we'd do cleanups and that sort of thing, and I would be a supervisor or whatever, and people would come up and say, "Excuse me," you see everybody working, you know what I mean? Say, "Well, excuse me, who's the supervisor?" And I said, "Well, I am." And they would look at me and say, "Well, you're doing the same thing everybody else does." Well, yeah, that's how we get it done. Well, if you're a supervisor, don't you supervise? Well, I am. I'm picking up trash like they're picking up trash. I'm picking up tires like they're picking up tires. And he said, well, I thought supervisors were supposed to supervise. I said, yes, but the best supervisors participate in the process. Therefore, can't someone say to you, well, we doing everything and all you doing is watching? No. When they look up and see me bending down doing the same thing they do, that sets the example. And he kind of shook his head and backed off. He said, yeah, you know what, that makes sense. Well, if we want to achieve change, we got to be the example of what we want to see that change to be. And that's why we have to empower everybody to do more, to see themselves as being a part of the whole. Because when they see themselves as being part of the whole, then they embrace what we're trying to achieve. And that's the main thing about building, so that we can begin to embrace each other. We may not have anything in common until we do. And guess what? That thing that we have in common may be something that we least expect. What is that? Well, I'm hungry and I bought my lunch today. Oh, yeah? I bought my lunch too. Okay, well, I bought myself some good fresh fruit here, and I got me a papaya and got me some grapes. So, wow, I got me some papaya. If I don't have grapes, though, I got cherries. He said, oh, yeah? He said, well, what do you got? You have anything for as a fiber? I said, yeah, well, I bought something as a fiber here. I got these here. It's a certain kind of cracker. It's a smelt cracker. You familiar with smelt crackers? No, well, smelt crackers are kind of dry, but when you eat them with fruit, they really go down real good, and it's a good filler. Before you know it, you got something in common, and you could really open up to each other. And next thing you know, you get ready to go home, and the person's standing there, and you, excuse me, you waiting for somebody. They say, well, I got to wait here an hour for my wife to get off work, and then she'll pick me up. Well, where do you live? Well, I live over in such and such. Oh, well, I got to go through downtown. Is that where your wife works? Well, yeah, she works down there. Well, I'll tell you what, if you hop in, I'll drop you off downtown. That way you can meet your wife, and I can go. Well, it wouldn't be taking me out of my way. You see how so important that just the little things make a difference in someone else's life. Because when he gets on his wife, she's going to say, well, how did you get downtown? Well, I met this guy at work today. He's a real nice guy. It seems like we have a lot in common. Oh, yeah, he's a black guy. Oh, yeah? So they got black guys that work there? Yeah, but we got the same things in common. Do you know he got kids that go to the same school we go to? His wife has the same problem with the school that you have with the school? Oh, yeah? Well, what did she do about it? Well, it's the principal. You see, you have to be able to open the door in order for change to take place. Okay, and another thing we want to make sure that we do is be listeners. We have to listen. And the reason why we have to listen is because something may be being said that it's imperative that we hear. And we can't constantly hear when we're talking. We want to share ideas. I mentioned to you that already. Anytime we get to a position where we can go to another community that has the same problem, we got to mobilize. Don't just go by yourself if you got a car. Call those people that have the same problems or in the same groups that are trying to make changes and say, I was going over to so-and-so's community. They got the same problem, and they were coming at it from a different perspective. I thought I would go over. I was calling you to see if you're interested. You may be surprised. You might get 5 or 6 other people and say, you know what? I appreciate that you taking the time to think about me. That was very, very courteous of you. And yes, I do want to see what they're doing and see how we can incorporate it in what we're doing. You're building camaraderie again. We are returning humanity back to the humans instead of allowing this artificial intelligence to take us down a road we don't want to travel. And the reason why is because now we are taking back our sovereignty, our right to be human. This is Brother Davis on Wise Wednesday, and I'm coming at you with everything I can to let you realize how important this time is. Because if you do not, this artificial intelligence is not only going to explode, it will start killing us on a mass level. How do they do that? Look at the food supply. Look at the water supply. Every area of consumption right now, if you do not have a certain degree of knowledge in it, you victimize yourself by it. So we have to open that door to each other. So, when you're conversating, a sister come by you and say, you know what, I just feel kind of heavy today. Well, what is it? I ate such and such. You may be able to inform her about something that she ate she didn't know about. And before you know it, she becomes knowledgeable. And guess what? She doesn't have that problem no more. It can come back to you and say, you know what? You're right. I didn't eat that, and I find myself feeling better. And, it's interesting. I ran across a coworker at work that did, and then she was sick. Absolutely. This is what's called community. If we do not operate like we love each other, even if we don't, remember what I said. I don't have to know you to love you. All I have to do is act towards you as a person I love. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be hugging on you. No, love is an action. Love is not the emotion that Westernism teaches. Emotion is an attribute of it. But these images you got from a TV about what love is, no, they're wrong. Love is a unique harmony that takes place between two people that may not have an emotional attachment at all, but through actions can show us a greater and a more sincerity for each other through words or touching. That's it. And the best part about it is that when you know you got somebody you can count on, you look forward to seeing him. How many times have you heard me say it's always good to hear the voice of a friend? Because there's going to come a time when you ain't going to know them voices. You ain't going to be able to tell who's doing what because they're speaking out from different areas of agitation. And this is where the system is going. Don't kid yourself. If we do not take hold and make change, this is where the system is going. Some of this stuff is going to happen regardless of what we do right now anyway. So let's build a network so that we can at least be able to converse with like-minded people or someone that we can one day call our friend, and when we hear them, identify them that way. Because the best part about it is I don't care what you're going through. When you are at a low point and you've got your head in your hands and you're saying, what am I going to do? There's nothing like being able to identify that voice that says, yo, what's up, my man? How you been? Because guess what? It's somebody you know. It's somebody that's shown you that they love you. And there's someone that you can be sincere with. Because I'm going to tell you something. We're living in a time of fake people because artificial technology is fake, and they program us to be fake, and we follow the program, and before you know it, we're just as deceptive as the environment that we live in. And if you don't believe it's deceptive, then what happened 2 days ago? People were celebrating the 4th of July like it was Independence Day, and everybody's still a slave. If you are paying taxes, you are a slave. If you are working, you are a slave. Whether that slave that you are to is the ideas of what you would like to achieve in this life, or being victimized by a program that you have no control over that will exercise a harsh punishment over you if you do not conform. That's what taxes does. And the sad part about it is that we are so easily conformed. We must take control, because I'm going to tell you something. AI works for the upper 1% because they don't have the amount of the magnitude of problems we have. You know why they don't have the magnitude of problems that we have? Because they're controlling it. They want us to have the problems. But if we stop submitting and we start joining together and we start cooperating with the people who are like-minded, and we stay in our lane and eventually jump in and out of lanes where we're needed, and all of a sudden we build a voice, and the voice gets volume, and that volume carries the whole way across the country, and they come in and say, okay, well, you got to go this here way. We can all say in one voice in a loud volume, hell no, we won't go.
Brother Davis.
Yes, my brother.
I want to piggyback off of what you said about Independence Day, because I was just having this conversation. Somebody said, they were saying, why are black people celebrating independence, but we all don't celebrate our Independence Day? Our Independence Day is Juneteenth. And so I'm saying, right, okay, I can understand some formerly enslaved victims just coming out of off the plantation, illiterate, can't read, and them thinking that they were being set free. But in hindsight, it's been 150 years since they published the 13th Amendment, and all you need to do is read it to find out that the institution of chattel slavery has not been abolished. But people would I even posted the picture of the text of the 13th Amendment, and people still want to claim that we free. All right, so I chalk that up to some people just want a reason to party.
Brother, you know what? Sometimes deception is acceptable. We have to understand that a lot of people feel that way. And us people who are focused and have an understanding of it, that 4th of July, you know what me and my wife did? We relaxed. Didn't go nowhere, didn't do nothing, just spent no time with no kids. Literally, we just enjoyed each other's company. Because literally, that was just the day they gave us to have off, we took advantage of it. But to celebrate what? See, and most people don't want to get in that conversation, especially on that. I see people wearing dresses, red, white, and blue, hats, red, white, and blue. To me, I didn't even go into that conversation. Oh yeah, white folks. They was, yeah, you're right. My wife was speaking from the back, but she's very good point about Juneteenth and our own personal celebration. But you know, the sad part about that is that a lot of people fail to realize the only reason why Juneteenth is celebrated by us because the word was slow to get to us, very slow in getting around. But that's how slavery worked back there. So yeah, Scotty, you make a very good point. You make an exceptionally good point. But until people begin to understand the importance of putting truth on the front burner, they're going to be victimized by things like these artificial intelligence, and I keep coming back to that because literally it's taking over our lives. And I know a lot of people who are going to probably kick back tonight and turn on that TV set and be bombarded with a whole bunch of different stuff that was based on the intelligence of knowing the numbers of people sitting in front of that TV set and feel like, oh, I can relax. You're not relaxing. You're being programmed. Unless you're turning to a show that you know is just going to entertain you, ain't going to give you no messages, well, I guess you talk about having a movie or a DVD because other than that, that's why it's called programming. So you can sit down and be programmed. Okay, but look, let me get back to the point. I spoke to you about travel. Another thing is we must understand the importance of females being comfortable in the surroundings that they're in. Now, the reason why I point that out is because females have a unique circumstance. History has always taken the female and victimized them because of the role they play in the universe. You have to understand, there's nothing as unique as a female. Nothing. And the sad part about that is that the counterparts are being victimized too, but on a different level. And the sad part about it is that the two, even when they come together, because of the types of victimization, sometimes that causes an atmosphere of harassment. But because we are human, because we can conversate, it doesn't make a difference if we don't see eye to eye, as long as we could say, listen, I don't quite understand your point, but I love you and I'm willing to try. Then you conveyed more in that last statement than if you had a debate the last 2 hours. Because that means tomorrow when we get together, we could do it again, if that's what it requires. Because I'm going to tell you, it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy at all. I'm going to give you a little piece of my life here, all right? Well, my family and I got together and we decided we were going to go ahead and purchase a farm. We all decided what we'll do is we will make a pledge, and we would send this pledge in as cash every month so that we could build up the base, the financial base, in order to make the purchase of the property. Do you think everybody kept up with that? You see, that's the whole point. You cannot set the pace for someone else, so let them set their own pace. And if they don't keep it, you have to be the lion in yours. Because when you're the lion in yours, then you're going to keep your pace up. And you're going to keep your pace up. And finally, when you get to the point when you got that property, you got a certain degree of personal satisfaction. Because many fell aside along the way. It doesn't make a difference when you reach that point of utopia, of achieving, this is mine. Even if mine still involves everybody, those people who didn't participate, then they're not going to. And when they say oh wow, now we see the fruit of that, we want to do it. Well, we've been waiting for you to participate for the last 3 or 4 years. So if you want to now, that's fine. But don't think that a tiger changes its stripes. Don't think that a zebra's going to outrun its stripes. It's not. People are going to be the way they are, and guess what? As soon as they need, they're going to be there playing. Oh, come on. Well, look, we could only do so much, and what we did was the best we can with what we had. You literally didn't keep up your end, so you got to deal with whatever is available, if it's available. Because guess what? If there's one, there's 10. If there was 50 you involved, in 15 or 20. You see what I'm saying? So you may sometimes have to carry the weight for the others, but don't lose focus on the dynamic achieving the goal. Because when you lose focus on the dynamic achieving the goal, there's a lot of things that would dissuade you. Believe me. There was many days my wife had to pick me up and say, baby, you do better than this. And there was many days I had to pick her up and say, baby, I'm glad you're here. Because guess what? We can do this. Sometimes it was a little harder for her to explain it to me with clarity, and sometimes it was a little harder for me to explain it to her with clarity. But yeah, the road had to be traveled, but now we're here. And this is what we had to see in our community. The road has to be traveled, but when you get there, see, when it doesn't take the whole community, although you would like to have it, but when the whole community finally gets word that they can do this, then there'll be those people who come back and say, you know what, I want to be involved. They're not going to see what they've already missed. You know why? Because now they feel like they can become a part of after the building is done. Well, that's fine, as long as they're willing to carry their fair share. But the whole thing is we cannot be discouraged. And I'm going to tell you something. I ask y'all, you people who are praying people, and I'm a praying person, so to pray for the people who are on the front lines. Because I'm going to tell you something. We can't afford the luxury of them getting discouraged. Because if they get discouraged, and we hear that, we get discouraged. And we ain't even on the front line doing what they doing. So that's why I constantly put my Wednesday night in. Now, sometimes it gets a little rough for me because of my schedule. But I'm getting ready to change that. When I change that, I'm going to sit down with Scotty because I'll be close to him. And maybe we can work something else out. But either way it goes, I'm going to stay in this fight. Because if I don't, who will? So if you don't, who will? And I'm not in your community, so in your community, if you don't, who will? when you do, people have a tendency to want to do what you're doing because you're going to make a difference. They may not see it immediately, but they know it's coming. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. I'm about to close down. I'm hoping y'all understand the importance of being able to take control of your life. Allow no AI to take unpurposeful control of your life. Unpurposeful means that when you submit to machine, it does what it does. So don't. Consider where you're at, what you're trying to achieve, and move in a direction that's best suitable for you. This is Brother Davis on a Thursday today. Hollering at you, telling you that everything I do out of love for you. Because when we get there, we'll all be together. Back to you, Brother Scotty. Back to you, man.
All right. Thank you, Brother Davis. And Brother Dave isn't on the board, so I'm going to close it out for us. Brother Braggs, if you want to get ready to chime us out, we got Blacks in Business Radio with Sister Cece and Brother Robert coming up at 8 o'clock p.m. They'll be talking about the Black Homeschool Expo that's coming up, so you definitely want to tune in if you want to get some information about the advantages of black homeschooling. So that's Blacks in Business Radio coming up at 8 o'clock. Brother Bragg.
Yes, sir. Peace. The Davis Gray Show. All right, Scotty, I'm ready.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.